Welcome to the I Can Speak To podcast where everyone can speak. We just speak in different ways. I'm your host, Portia B. So this week's episode is called Bad Seeds, and we're going to be learning how to deal with some badass behavior because your kids are coming home for the holidays for 2 weeks, and you need to learn how to tackle behavior and learn how to deal with it in a positive way. So before we start, I do have some really cool icebreakers, as always, for you guys. So I'm going to tell you first about my favorite wine right now that I've currently been drinking because of the holidays. We just had Thanksgiving. We're about to have Christmas. And it's also a great wine I like to drink when I'm having a stressful day and I just want to pull my hair out, but I don't have hair. So anyway, this is called the McBride Sisters Chardonnay. And it's really, really good. It's got kind of like a dryness to it, but it's also very sweet. And it's strong, y'all. I mean, like, strong. I think it's, let me look at the bottle. It's 13.8%. So I'm going to pour it up right now, but I'm not going to have that much because, like I said, it's strong. I had 2 glasses of it the other night when I was doing some crafting. And I stood up and I was like, oh, like, I was a little, like, tipsy. So you got to be careful with McBride Sisters. But it's really, really good. And I'm going to take a sip now. Delicioso. Okay. So, McBride Sisters, check it out. It's a Black-owned wine company. Really, really good. Next, my favorite songs right now. So these songs are kind of old. They're not like super old, but they came out in the past 2 years. But it's just 2 songs I've really been listening to a lot. And that's Don't Start Now by Dua Lipa and Go Crazy by Chris Brown and Young Thug. And I like to listen to music a lot when I'm cleaning the house or just like chilling, relaxing, all cool. So check those songs out if you've never heard them because they're really awesome. And my movie recommendation kind of goes along with this episode because the movie, it's an old movie, but it's called The Bad Seed. And if you've never heard of it, it came out in 1956. And it's about a little girl, essentially, who seems like, she's perfect. She does all her work and she plays the piano, just like a really sweet little girl. But a kid ends up being murdered in the town and her babysitter ends up being killed. So her mother starts to speculate is my daughter doing this? She starts going crazy thinking about it. So you kind of learn the daughter is a little manipulative child and she's evil essentially because she's a bad seed and she's a monster. She's a murderer. So not saying that your kids are murderers and they're monsters, but I just thought it was a really good movie recommendation because the name of the episode is Bad Seed and the name of the film is Bad Seed. So if you've never seen that, check it out. And I think there was a remake on, I know y'all love Lifetime. Lifetime did the remake. And I think that it came out in 2018, but I don't know if it's any good because I haven't seen it. But the original one is really, really good. So check it out, The Bad Seed. All right. So now we're going to get into our topic points. So I said avoiding holiday hell and tackling behavior. So before we start even talking about behavior and how to manage it and deal with it, we need to define behavior. So behavior is essentially a way a person or a thing reacts to something. So when we think of behavior, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad behavior. It can be a good behavior too. So, children react in different ways to certain things. If you tell a child in the store that they can't have a toy that they want, they might have a tantrum. Or you might have a child where you tell them that they did really good on their work. So they might respond and being very helpful and gleeful. So, behavior is different. It doesn't mean that it's negative. It doesn't mean that it's positive. It can be a neutral behavior as well. It's just a point of pointing out which behaviors your child may have. So in regards to behavior, we know that children have temper tantrums. And I've seen several temper tantrums as a teacher. And I'm sure a lot of people have seen them as a parent. And just some fun facts for you, and I hope that you do know these things already, but if you don't, temper tantrums are a normal part of child development, and it's usually between the ages of 1 and 3 that temper tantrums occur. That was a word doozy. But it's a normal behavior. It's something that always happens. And sometimes they prolong a little bit longer after 3 years of age. It just really depends. But a temper tantrum is a normal part of child development. And I actually wanted to act out a temper tantrum for you guys. And I have a really cool guest that's going to do it with me. So if you give me a second, I'll be right back and we'll show you the temper tantrum. Temper tantrum, take one. Come in.
Can I have candy?
No, we're about to eat dinner.
Please?
No, we're about to eat dinner.
But I want candy.
I said no. Boy, if you don't get off the floor. So as you can see, that's what a temper tantrum looks like. And a lot of times those behaviors from temper tantrums derive from children being upset because they can't get something they want. Sometimes they're hungry, sometimes they're tired. It really just depends. But we know that temper tantrums happen. Now, if your child is 10 or 12 having temper tantrums, we might have more of a problem there, because I did tell you it's typical for children who are younger. But again, like I said, children throw those temper tantrums most of the time to get what they want. And another good thing to point out is a lot of times temper tantrums come from children not being able to express themselves. So if you have a younger child and they don't have the words yet to verbalize what they want, or why they're upset, or why they're getting annoyed or frustrated because they can't complete the task at hand. Maybe they want to stack their blocks, but they keep falling down. That might cause a temper tantrum. And if they don't have the words yet, or even signs to tell you or to explain to you how they feel, then the next best thing for them is a temper tantrum. So we have to keep those things in mind a lot of time too when we get upset, because I know when I see temper tantrums or I see kids acting out, it can be very frustrating. Like, you can be like, what are you doing? And you're automatically angry. You know, we don't automatically just go to straight calmness or understanding why a child might feel this way or why they're doing these things, why they're screaming and kicking everywhere. You know, we might feel embarrassed if they're doing it in a store and it's like, can you just get up? Because now everybody's looking at us. So it's not our natural response all the time, or our natural reaction to be patient with that child when they're having a temper tantrum. So I'm going to give you some little tips about highlighting behavior, and then we're going to go into behavior tips on how to tackle that badass behavior and deal with the temper tantrums. So highlighting behavior, I want to talk to you guys about some different words we can use instead of the negative ones. So I wrote them down and I'm going to share them with you right now. So the first one that I've came up with is, instead of saying no, stop crying, we can try calm body. So if your child is crying and you're like, stop crying, like, why are you crying? Just be like, calm body, calm your body. And it's okay to be more assertive when you say those things. It's just better and more positive language for that child, instead of saying the word stop or no crying or stop crying. Saying calm body, or even rubbing their back, calm body. You need to calm your body down. And you can say it again, like I said, assertive. It doesn't have to be calm body. It doesn't have to be a passive tone, but it's more positive language to get your point across. So next, you might think this is surprising, but I hear people say this to their children, okay? And I've heard teachers say it to children. All right, so instead of leave me alone, you can say, be patient. Be patient and wait for mommy or daddy to be ready to talk to you. Be patient. It's better than saying leave me alone, because leave me alone kind of makes the child feel like you don't want them to be around you, or you don't want them to bother you. So instead of saying leave me alone, try words like be patient. Next, we have stop yelling. Stop yelling. instead of saying stop yelling, we can try, let me fix this, quiet voices. So, and something I do at school, when the kids are yelling, we say quiet voices inside, tall voices outside. Explaining to them that you can use a louder tone when you're outside on the playground, but when we're inside in the classroom, we need to be using our quiet voices. We need to have normal tone. So if your child is yelling at home, you can say, quiet voices, please. Quiet voice, please. Next, instead of stop running, stop running. And I know y'all hear that all the time because when I was growing up, I got told to stop running in the house. We can say, use your walking feet. Use your walking feet. And you can mimic that and show them by walking. Show them how to walk with their walking feet very slowly. This is how you walk. We do not run in the house. We use our walking feet. It's just more positive language, again, instead of saying stop running or no running. And lastly, instead of stop hitting. If you have children that have siblings and they like to play rough and they hit each other, they get mad at each other, perfect solution, instead of that negative language, try hands to self. And this doesn't even work, it just doesn't work just for stop hitting. It works for a lot of things. If you have when children are younger, they love to touch every single thing. They want to touch your iPad, they want to touch your phone, they want to play games on it, they want to knock down the candle and all the new decor that you just put up in the house. Hands to self. Hands to self. So it's more positive language than saying, no, stop touching it. Don't touch or no touch. I've heard that before. Hands to self. And you can even take their hand and place your hand over theirs. Hands to self. Hands to self. It's just a way to use better language with them that's more positive, because a lot of times negative language can have an impact on children's development. And I know that we aren't perfect because I've used the word no before with students, and I know parents get frustrated, and sometimes it's hard to think in the moment about what you're saying, so you might not automatically think, I need to use more positive language with my child instead of saying the word no. But I think if you start practicing it once a day and implement it in a routine to talk to your child, it makes it easier to remember different ways that you can say things to them that will still be positive language, but also reinforce that behavior that you're trying to get them to do or what you're looking forward to seeing. And I believe that you'll start to have those changes. You have to implement the change for the child to change. That is a major, major key, to me at least. All right, so behavior tips. Some things that I want to talk about with that is always praise good behavior. So don't always automatically just respond when your child has behavior that you don't like or is considered negative behavior. So if your child is at home and they made a mess with their toys and you told them to clean it up and they didn't. Or if you told them to get off their iPhone, this even works for that. If you told them to get off their iPhone or on their phone or they're playing games all night and they didn't go to sleep when you told them to, don't always acknowledge that behavior. Also acknowledge the good behavior. So if your child comes home and they take the initiative to do things that you don't ask them to do, praise that good behavior, because when you praise it more than the negative behavior that they do, they're more likely to start doing more positive behavior and taking more initiative to do things because they like how it feels. I mean, think about us when we do a good job at work and somebody says, oh man, your presentation was awesome. Like, how did you do that so fast? Your lesson today when you taught was so great. Like, can you help me to do something like that in my classroom? It makes you feel good and it makes you want to do more work that's just like that. So think of it that way for children too. And what was I watching last night? I was watching an episode on TLC of My 600-Pound Life. And I remember the woman said to her mother, I've just always wanted you to be proud of me. So when you talk to kids, that's all they ever want. They want you to be proud of them. So please praise their good behavior more than the bad behavior, the badass behavior. Give them an opportunity to see that they can be praised and that you're proud of them for what they've done. Second, counting rules. This is mostly for younger children. Something that I like to do and that I've learned about is counting. When I talked about being patient, instead of saying, leave me alone, say the word be patient, or even when they want something. I have a student, he gets upset. We have a big interactive board. He gets upset sometimes when we put it away. He starts having a tantrum. And I say, all right, I'm going to count to 5. And when I count to 5, you're going to be done and we're going to find something else to do. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, it takes routine, it takes time, repetition. Repetition is key with kids because they don't get things right away. But even counting for if a child is being impatient in a store, they're trying to get your attention. Say you're talking to somebody like a friend that you ran into and your child is pulling on your shirt and starting to cry because you're not paying attention to them. Be patient and do the countdown with them. And once they calm themselves, then you can address them. Thirdly, this is something that I do, and I think that it works. I don't feel like I always have to acknowledge a temper tantrum. If it's something that, they're screaming and they're crying, and I try the countdown and that does not work, I'm going to start ignoring you. And when I stop ignoring you and you start to calm down, then I'll say, all right, you seem happy now. What can we do now? Would you like to, I give them a choice. Would you like to go play in the block area? Would you like to go read a book? Because you have a calm body now. But when you give a lot of attention to those temper tantrums and the screaming and you're like, it's okay, and you're coaxing them, and it's all right, baby, don't cry, mommy's sorry or daddy's sorry. A lot of the times you're enabling that behavior. And you may not look at it that way because you're just trying to, take care of your child, make them feel loved. You don't want them to cry. You hate to see them so upset. But sometimes you have to ignore it so that they know they won't get attention from it. Because kids are smart. They sometimes realize that if they do things or they act a certain way, they believe that they'll get what they want because you don't want to hear them cry. You're sick of them crying. So you're just going to throw the toy or give them the toy so they can stop, so they can shut up, essentially. But we don't want that to be a behavior that they always do. So sometimes ignoring their temper tantrums is healthy, in my opinion. Lastly, establish routines. The more you tell your child about what they're doing, and we've talked about this on previous episodes before about the whole language deal. Telling your child what our plans for today. We're going to go to Walmart. We have to go get some groceries. Then we're going to come home. We're going to make some lunch. And then you need to help mom because we're going to plant some flowers in the garden. I don't know. I'm just giving you a synopsis of a schedule that you might have at home. Establishing a routine with a child. Having them have a regular time to eat lunch. Having them have a regular time to eat dinner. A regular bedtime. Those things help establish routine and they minimize that badass behavior that we don't want to deal with. Because if a child is hungry or they're tired, they get tantrums. But if you have them on a routine, they already know what's coming. And it's the same thing at school. You have to make sure teachers have to have established routines. Visual schedules even work a lot in classrooms, especially if you have children that have behavior issues and they might have autism. They live on routines. But at home, even visual routines will work. But staying on an established routine will help your child have better behavior and they won't act out with those negative behaviors that you don't want to deal with because you've established with them what you're going to do throughout the day. So I hope that those things were helpful for you guys in dealing with the badass behavior that's coming at you possibly during the holidays. And I do have a book recommendation. It's called The Bad Seed by Jory John. And it's a children's book, but I thought it was really cute because it's about a little bad seed, Essentially, he likes to lie about things that don't matter. He doesn't like to wash his hands or his feet. He likes to cut people in line. He just does things to do them, and he doesn't really know why. But the book has essentially a lesson to teach that just because you've done things in the past doesn't mean that it reflects who you can be or who you're going to be in the future. So there's always room to make changes and be a better person and choose more positive and better behavior and treat others better as well. So I think the book has a really good meaning, and you guys should check it out for your younger kids. It's called The Bad Seed. And I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about the book I've been reading, because I told you I was reading Pretty Little Wife by Darby Kane. And it's been interesting. It's been a little slow for me, if I'm being honest with you, because I like an anticipating fast thriller in a sense. I like for it to grab me as soon as I open the book. I hate a slow page turner. So I'm still going to be reading it, but right now, she just doesn't like her husband. She has a lot of issues with him, and he's very arrogant, and he's a cheater. So all my adults, if you want to check out this book, check it out. I'm going to tell you when I finish it to give you a little bit more information about it, but it's called Pretty Little Wife by Darby Kane, and I got it through the book of the month. And I also wanted to tell you about one more book. I have not finished it yet, but I am reading 2 books right now. This one is called When No One Is Watching, and it's by Alyssa Cole. Forewarning, this book has a lot of cussing. A lot. Like, a lot. But it's about a girl who lives in Brooklyn. Her name's Sydney, and she basically has lived in these brownstones in New York all her life, and she just sees a lot of gentrification happening. And then some of her neighbors start disappearing, and she's like, what? It's almost like Get Out in a book, kind of. If you ever seen the film Get Out, or if you haven't seen it, you should check it out. It's really good. But you should read this book if cussing does not bother you. Check out When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole. All right. So, last but not least, of course, we have the quote of the day. Yay! All right. So, the quote of the day is, the best apology is changed behavior. And I know a lot of us can reflect on that and relate to it, because I feel that way with personal relationships, or even, your boyfriend or your girlfriend, your husband, your wife, whoever. When they do something you don't like, actions speak louder than words. So when you see a change, that's the best apology, because somebody can apologize to you over and over again, and if they still doing the same thing, it really don't matter that they apologize. So the best apology is changed behavior, and your children can show you that they apologize for their previous behaviors by their changed behaviors. But following some of these tips for behaviors and how to tackle that badass behavior will help you be more happy, and it'll help your children feel more responsible and take more initiative and have more positive behaviors. And I really feel like it's good for children. I feel like the routines that we talked about is good for children. Praising them is good for children. So children need us. They need their parents, they need their teachers, they need their families to have that good positive behavior that we're looking for. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And before I go, I wanted to tell you this hoodie I'm wearing, Sunday Dinner. I was a part of this really cool TV show that's premiering November 29th on YouTube called Sunday Dinner Augusta. And I was able to make these shirts for Sunday Dinner. But it was really just about young Black professionals coming together and sharing their different narratives and having a wonderful, delicious dinner. And it was so much fun to be a part of. So when you guys can, go to Facebook and check out Sunday Dinner Augusta. Or you can go to their website, sundaydinneraugusta.com. But make sure you check out their premiere on Sunday, November 29th. All right, guys, I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.